President Trump has reached a record before the 100 days, and it is a record of complete measurable failure. Many of his own advisors and Wall Street allies view it as humiliating. It is something that will not only affect so many people in our country and around the world, but even if you look at it by narrow terms of just the president's record in history, this is now the blemish on his record, not only for the second term, but forever. The record is the self-inflicted choice to wipe out this much value in the stock market over just 2 days. Tonight, as we end the week, the U.S. stock market has now lost $6.4 trillion in just 2 days.
Hey, MAGA, remember this?
I don't give a damn how bad the inflation is.
And we will lower costs on everything from healthcare to groceries and take on corporate price gouging. I've done it before, and I will do it again.
Or maybe you remember this.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. His economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
Maybe next time, instead of voting for the 34-count convicted felon, you'd vote for the black woman, the educated black woman who was a prosecutor and a senator and a vice president, and maybe your 401ks will still be here, and maybe the prices won't be through the roof like you're experiencing now, MAGA.
Could President Trump's tariffs cause a global recession? Markets have plummeted. More than $11 trillion has been wiped off the value of American stocks since its peak in February. And global markets have tanked too. Analysts have been saying that a global recession has been getting more likely. JP Morgan says the chance of one is now 60% this year. Even if Trump were to U-turn now, he's already caused lasting damage to the global economy. Here's why. It's more than just the headline share price moves that show the economy could be in trouble. The VIX, a measure of volatility, reached its fourth highest level on record. Oil prices, which track the global economic cycle, are also down. And defensive stocks, like food and utilities, which are less exposed to economic downturns, have been outperforming cyclical stocks, like airlines and car makers, that rely on the economy being strong.
You know what should be your big red flag about the tariff situation? Trump's mad at the world. Look, it's jarring when he says that he wants to buy Greenland or assimilate Canada, but at least those are individual situations where, I don't know, you can somehow conceptualize the memo he misinterpreted, or the Fox News rant that he reacted to, or the crooked administration official he was manipulated by. But imagine the narcissism it takes to stand in front of cameras and say, you know who's conspiring against us? The world. You know, that group of people known for all agreeing on one ideology. All those cultures and different religions and borders and currencies, they must have all gotten together at one of those secret meetings we're for some reason not invited to and unanimously voted to hate freedom.
Markets went wild after Trump dropped a huge tariff bomb he called Liberation Day. Basically, he slapped tariffs on a wide range of imports, which triggered panic about trade wars and a possible global recession. The S&P 500 tanked 10% just since the start of April, and the Dow nosedived by 4,000 points in 2 days. Total chaos.
It's going to be very interesting. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table. Because no other president would be willing to do what I'm doing or to even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end. But we are making tremendous progress with a lot of countries, and the countries that really took advantage of us.
Why don't we make that the seventh reason we need these tariffs?
Okay, major breaking news. Donald Trump has just single-handedly crashed the global stock market. So the US market literally just opened after the weekend of it being closed, and in the first few moments, all of the major indexes fell yet again, between 3 and 4%. That brings the S&P's 3-day losses to around 13%. That's the biggest drop since the financial crisis of 2008. China's stock market, well, they suffered their worst single-day crash since 2008 as well. Hong Kong's stock market, they suffered their steepest single-day decline in nearly 3 decades.
If we lose, you're going to have a crash like you wouldn't believe. If we lost this election, I think the market would go down the tubes. I think it's going to be 1929 depression if we don't win. If I would have lost, the stock market would crash. If he's elected, the stock market will crash. If he gets in, the market will crash. If Biden gets in, the market will crash. If Harris wins this election, the result will be a Kamala economic crash. We're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. We're going to have a crash like 1929 if she gets in. It will not be pretty. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Instability makes a population easier to control. It exhausts people. There is a purpose to all of this, but it is not to bring manufacturing back to the United States of America or to put America first. And some countries have already retaliated against us, like China has put a massive tariff on American exports. Now, what is the number one American export? Soybeans. Trump's going to fuck with the farmers? No. Trump's going to fuck with the blue state farmers. 80% of soybean production comes from Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois, with the majority of it coming from Illinois and Minnesota. Those are blue states, and they didn't vote for him, so he doesn't care if their soybeans get messed up. I'll have more for you as we know more, but this is not normal.
This is getting worse by the minute. Even with a small rebound after the initial drop, analysts are warning that we're not out of the woods. The volatility is still high, and it's pretty clear that the tariffs might trigger a long economic downturn if this keeps up. Basically, it's Trump versus the world, and the markets are caught in the crossfire.
Anybody else notice how quickly MAGA went from, they're going to give us $8,000 checks, we're going to be so rich, to, it's totally patriotic to lose your whole retirement and your 401k plan?
I know it's been a rough couple of weeks for MAGA Republicans, but I feel like we can do better. The Supreme Court's not cooperating, Trump's agenda is backfiring, Doge is imploding, and yet I feel absolutely compelled to point out that this horror movie that's playing out across the headlines, this was their choice. When Biden left office, wages were growing, GDP was growing, the stock market and our retirement plans were up, unemployment was rock bottom. The only thing that was actually a problem, grocery prices, had actually leveled off over a year before Biden left office. But that wasn't good enough for Republicans. They were so hysterical over the idea of a black woman taking office that they shot the country in the foot to stop it from happening.
On a scale of 1 to MAGA, how dumb do you have to be to believe this?
The markets today are way down, the worst day in years because of the tariffs. So how's it going?
I think it's going very well. It was an operation.
The Dow lost over 1,600 points today, which is the biggest loss since 2020, when there was a raging pandemic that forced a lot of businesses to close. Last I checked, no businesses closed today. And it's completely avoidable and self-inflicted. And that response from him is North Korea level propaganda and denial. And that's the problem. In this MAGA fantasy land, facts and evidence don't matter. How can we ever bridge the gap with the other side when we can't even agree on the facts?
When are MAGA supporters finally going to wake up and realize what they actually voted for? How many people have to lose their jobs or watch their savings vanish in the stock market before it clicks? At this rate, they won't even be able to afford a carton of eggs by the time the reality sets in.
Okay, MAGA, which is it? Is Donald Trump an economic genius who's had this tariffs plan since the 80s and is just keeping his promises? Or is this, quote, not what you voted for, and now you're losing money and you're upset? Because I'm hearing both, but it can't be both. You know that, right?
Trump administration's push to downsize the federal government is now zeroing in on the nation's top health agency. The Department of Health and Human Services just announced today that it's cutting 10,000 more employees from its workforce.
Agency officials are describing this as a dramatic restructuring that will save taxpayers money.
Update on Doge cuts in West Virginia. Approximately 200 federal jobs have been cut in Morgantown at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. The union representing workers there said that hundreds of lab animals will have to be euthanized as part of these layoffs. NIOSH is expected to lose more than 2,000 employees across the country, and these cuts, which are part of President Trump's push for government efficiency, are expected to save $1.8 billion per year. Now, this announcement comes after we learned that 200 jobs will be eliminated at Novelis, which is a plant in Fairmont, and employees at that plant told reporters that they were told that these job cuts were related to tariffs, but Governor Patrick Morrisey has denied that.
We are less safe today because of these cuts that have happened the last several days. I always thought that things were fixable, right? You could fix things. I am very concerned that if these cuts are not rescinded, these will have effect for decades.
You think that the way they have done these cuts, the people they've cut, the number of jobs they've cut, potentially have created a crisis in which we can't ever have these institutions back at strength?
I think we're very close to that.
It's not just the tariffs and the market. Trump kicked off 2025 by freezing federal hiring and slashing jobs across agencies, all in the name of efficiency. He even created a new department called DOGE with Elon Musk. Like, this is some startup experiment. We're talking tens of thousands of people losing their jobs, like teachers, health workers, even folks handling Social Security.
It's Friday, and for federal employees, that used to mean pretty much they could go home and enjoy their weekend. But just like with all of the Fridays since essentially Valentine's Day, that's not the case, especially if you work for the IRS, as an email went out this afternoon that says, hey, we're cutting 20,000 federal employees from the IRS. This accounts for about 25% of the IRS's total staff, and according to the email that I've seen, it's going to start with Donald Trump's favorite office, which is the Civil Rights Office.
Donald Trump's tariffs do not represent all Americans. And on behalf of 40 million Americans that live in the great state of California, the tentpole of the U.S. economy, 14% of the U.S. GDP, the fifth largest economy in the world, the dominant manufacturing state in America. Our state of mind is around supporting stable trading relationships around the globe. And that's why today I've directed my administration to look at new opportunities to expand trade and to remind our trading partners around the globe that California remains a stable partner.
Elon Musk now says that he hopes the United States and Europe move to a zero tariff situation, turning on Trump's total tariff takedown. And he says he also wants more freedom of people to move between Europe and North America. Here is Elon Musk. Take a listen to this. They are turning on Trump.
And I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation.
It's crazy how many states want nothing to do with Trump's policies right now. Even some Republican governors are refusing to follow his orders. And Elon Musk, who helped start the whole government efficiency plan, is now pulling back too.
I'm Wendy Brew. I own Dry Ridge Farm in Madison County in western North Carolina. It'll affect us on everything from fertilizer to construction materials to tractors, new equipment, but not just new equipment, like tractor parts. All farmers do their own maintenance on their equipment.
My name is Peter Andrews. I'm the founder of Culture Wine Company, an importer, wholesaler, and focused on South African wine. Right now, I have a container that's leaving South Africa. That alone will probably be tariffed just because I missed it by about a 7-hour window to get it out.
Look, you make a big announcement, but your reciprocal tariff formula was just the trade deficit divided by imports equation. And when you got busted on that, you threw out this ridiculous calculus problem that's just shapes. That it boils down to the trade deficit divided by imports, which is the formula that got the rich country of Lesotho hit with 50% tariffs.
So everything from your electronics to your plates, your clothes, your toys, textiles, everything will go up, probably double or triple. As I look around my house, pretty much 85 to 90% of the stuff I have is made in China. Go figure. So my question is, where does this stop? We already at 104% tariff. Is China going to be like, all right, well, guess we got to fold it? They don't. They don't have no presidential campaigns. They don't have no elections. They can literally just wait this out. They can do this for 4 years. So for 4 years, we could be paying double and triple prices until the next person get in office, if the next person gets in office.
Is that everything?
Yes.
All right. That'll be $50 billion.
Fuck!
All these tariffs and job cuts aren't hitting billionaires. They're hitting regular people, the real Americans. Prices are going up on everyday things like groceries, gas, and appliances. Some folks are already struggling to afford eggs or pay rent. And now with all the government job cuts, thousands are out of work or losing key services they depend on. This isn't about fixing the economy for the people. It's about shifting the pain to working families while the ultra-rich stay untouched.